What's up, everybody? How we doing? Welcome back to another The Floor Is Yours podcast, streaming on Mogul TV Global. And we got G Flex, the producer here, and our guest, Miss Sharice. Nice to have you here. This is our fancy financial advisor we have today. We're going to be talking about smart money management and loud budgeting. So, Miss Sharice, while we have you here today, um, before I get to you, not to push you off, but make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you guys share this so people can tune into the live now, and then they can look at it later. All right. But back to Miss Cherise. Thank you for coming here and being with us today to spreading some financial literacy. But yes, please go ahead and tell us about yourself and what you're bringing to the pod today.
Absolutely. I'm the secret weapon. I'm bringing everything.
Hey, I like that.
Yeah, yeah. So my name is Sharice Chambers. I'm the owner and founder of Financial Fancy. I'm a fractional CFO. And basically, what that means in a nutshell is that I'm a calculator. So I do bookkeeping, the day to day, and then I do taxes. So I combine those two things with strategy to help small business owners actually make money on demand. There is no secret recipe, there's no magic sauce. You figure out your analytics and what consumers want, and you combine those things together, and that's how you get big feedback and payback in your pocket. So yeah.
So,
Nice.
question with you on that: Is there a area that you specialize in the fractional?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, so actually, I work with small business owners who generate revenue from startup to about $3 million. Those are my clientele. And although a lot of people are like 3 million, that's a lot. Actually, by definition, by the SBA, a small business is someone who employs less than 50 people and generates less than, I want to say it's maybe $15 million. So
Mhm.
that's why 97% of businesses are considered small businesses because they meet the criteria.
Okay.
Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. All right. All right. Well, I know that we before we get into it, I know Flex had a video he wanted to show us to lead us into discussion today. So if you got that ready, Flex, go ahead and drop that for us.
Loud budgeting. New concept for me. Mark Triplett with Triplett Westendorf Financial Group joins us now. What is loud budgeting? You've had my whole team talking about it this morning.
Oh my goodness, I love loud budgeting, and it was kind of new to me too. But what it is really just being fiscally responsible and being proud of it. There's a lot of financial pressure or social pressure rather to keep up with the Joneses, but loud budgeting is about the opposite. It's about being open and disclosing what your financial goals are, and then having the courage to say no when something might actually conflict with your ability to achieve that financial goal, put that in jeopardy. So loud budgeting is all about creating a spending plan, communicating it to others so you can stick to it and they can support you.
I'm going to say something stupid, but I love to make it known when I get a good deal, something not full price, paying full price. Can that be considered loud budgeting? Because you're like, I'm a bargain shopper. I don't know. Because I definitely
I do it all
make
the
it known.
time. When I see a good deal, it's hard to pass up. I like to spend my money wisely, but I really think it's important that everybody has a spending plan because you really everybody has financial goals, whether it's by upgrading a vehicle or going on a grand vacation, or for the folks that we serve, retiring someday. And it's really hard to reach those major financial goals if you aren't tracking your spending. What's coming into your
So we heard it from the fair skinned people, but for our secret weapon, um, what is loud budgeting to you, Sharice, and kind of what is its purpose, and how can basically us as the people in our culture and our um, kind of background, how can we get involved in loud budgeting?
Yeah, I think this is like a nuanced conversation that's multi-layer, but at the core of it, I think it is creating safe spaces amongst each other so we can have conversations about our financial goals, right? So, the conversation around, do you kick a child out at the age of 18, right? And then all of a sudden expect them to know how to budget and pay bills and things of that nature, right? To even on the other spectrum, right? I run into a lot of people who are, especially me, I am now creating a exit strategy out of my business, right? What does it look like to retire and not have to work and still make money, right? So both of those spectrums. So it doesn't matter how old you are. Everyone has financial goals, whatever they are, And I think we just need to create spaces that respect each other, right? My sister, she didn't buy a car for a year and a half because she likes to take trips. She lives in Atlanta. She don't have to have a vehicle, right? But some be like, oh, you don't have a car? Why? How are you getting around, right? But she's going to Mexico every other month. What life do you want? So again, I applaud whatever the North Star is for you. If you like it, I love it, as my mama would say, right? And also be able to feel encouraged to say, you know what, for my time right now in life, I want to fill in the blank. And we say, how can I support you in that?
Yeah.
So what is this? So what is its purpose? In a sense, what is loud budgeting's purpose?
Well, I think the purpose is really is that we are able to say out loud what our financial goals are. So, again, if it's buying a home, having children, getting married, right? I think there's we're talking about where the others, right? People of color, right? There are traditions amongst Africans where they throw money at the people when they get married, right? Why are we not doing those same kind of traditions? They're like actually supporting, because I think they actually understand like it takes a village, legit, in all aspects, not just raising kids, but just needing a village for support, for comfort, for times of grief, and all those things. So really being able to say out loud and be able to be comfortable in being able to know what your goals are.
Yeah, and I'll just add on that, just thinking about the cultural aspects of it. You know, people in our community can be flashy. You know, look what I got, even to a point where we're flashing what we really don't have or don't own, or the stuff we're flashing has been financed with high interest rates, stuff that we don't even own, and it's for the wrong reason. So this loud budgeting concept comes in, and it says like, you know what, it's okay to budget, and not only am I going to budget, but I'm going to surround myself with people that understand my goals, and they're going to support my goals. So just say if Mars, you're saying, hey, I want to upgrade and get to a 4-bedroom home. Got a new addition to the family, and you're saying you're gonna cut back on the spending. What I'm not going to do is come to you and be like, hey Mars, let's go out to the beach this weekend, and we get the cooler and fill it up, and whatever. Anything that I come to you with is I should be mindful of the goals that you have set. And so not only am I not going to encourage you to do things that go against your goal, but I'm going to actually hold you accountable and encourage you by putting you in position to help achieve your goals as well. So hope that makes sense.
Oh yeah, always. I mean, yes. Dang. Excuse me. In our culture, often we are flashy. So I did want to ask the fancy financial advisor, how often do you see people flashing when they shouldn't, when they not necessarily, it's not beneficial. When you catch things like that where it's not beneficial for their goals and the books, how often do you see that in these small businesses?
All the time. All the time. I mean, there is a space right now that is lifestyle marketing, right? People who um, pour at the heartstrings of people who aspire to look like those people. And something that I just try to present when advising people and giving them coaching is, what is your North Star? And like digging deeper into what that looks like. Because making six figures, what does taxes look like, right? What is the responsibilities of that? So it's not just making the money, it's like what also is the responsibility behind it, because I see a lot of people when they do start making good money in their businesses start, moving into nice homes and things of that nature. But your budget, I don't want people to be scared. It's actually being accountable for the dollars that you have, right? And then telling it where to go. And a lot of times what happens is when people are trying to be flashy, they're not even thinking about the responsibility that comes with spending the money. They're just thinking about getting the thing, and maybe it's not of quality. Maybe it's not what you need. Maybe it's a plethora of things, right? So really getting down to like the why. And I feel like a lot of us, I mean, even my grandma, we talk about budgeting, but she also is someone who's like a hoarder. So she doesn't want to throw away things, right? So sometimes, again, this conversation is so nuanced because the conversation really is not the money. It's around the behavior and why
Yeah.
you the things that you do, right? I grew up on food stamps. I grew up in the 757. I have 6 sisters, right? My family, but looking back now as an adult, you can tell me that we weren't middle class. We went to church. We went out to eat every Sunday at America's Great Buffet. We were doing, I think, above average things for considering how big our family was. Now, there were some things that we had to stop doing. Me and my mom used to go and get our hair done, but as they kept growing the family out, there were some amenities that I couldn't do as much, or we could find abbreviated ways to do it, right?
Yeah.
So all of those things.
One thing I know that we are challenged with, and I use that word intentionally, but it's this mindset that we all need to be millionaires. And let me preface it by saying this: there is nothing wrong with being a millionaire.
Nothing.
But I think what we miss, a lot of people miss, is you can do a lot with $60,000-$70,000 a year in proper budgeting. And my point about that is when I hear people a lot of times talk about being a millionaire, even their behaviors, their day-to-day behaviors don't even line up with it. Like, how do I increase my income? Because let's be honest, most of us are not going to make a job that pays us $500,000, $800,000, $1 million a year. So you have to figure out a way to, come up with that kind of money. And again, not saying that you can't, but does your goals align with it? And have you learned how to manage 50, 60, 70,000? Because the old saying I heard is the only thing worse than a fool with no money is a fool with money.
Fool with money, yeah.
Yeah. So if you get up, and you hear people all the time talk about how their life changed for the worse because they got that money. There's a video out there now with Will Smith. I encourage y'all to go and look for it if you haven't. But he talks about the meaning of life. And man, he breaks it down and tells you that, hey, after I've had everything and lost it and had it again, like, he can't buy happiness. And unfortunately, he had to go through some stuff to figure that thing out. And again, I'm not thumbing my nose at money because we need it. And
some of us would rather take the money to figure that out by ourselves, at least.
Yeah, but I'll just say this about that. Again, there's a lot you can do with $70,000 a year in smart money management versus working yourself to death to make another $10,000 a year, and you're never going to reach that $1 million goal anyway. So
yeah, and I like how you said that the fool with money and fool with no money is because I was kind of listening to Miss Reese and kind of like, a lot of oftentimes when we think about, financial literacy, we think about the loopholes and the money and just saving and actually knowing every little detail that our, tax provider is supposed to know, or the fancy financial advisors like Sharice is supposed to know and come provide those services. And that's what causes more anxiety. But I think what I'm hearing is because you're going to still be a fool. You're talking about your behavior. It's a mindset and the behavior of what you do with money. So rather not be a fool, because if if you're I guess a smart or a like a person that thinks about something, that's your mindset is thinking about something before you do it, you'll kind of be better off with no money and or money, right? Instead of just a fool as the mindset. So would you say that the mindset and what you do with it mostly is more important than really knowing all the actual paperwork about financials and stuff like that? The numbers, per se.
Oh, most definitely. It's a strategic game, because the truth of the matter is that anyone who's a millionaire has, what they say, 5 to 8 different streams of income. If you have 5 to 8 different streams of income, I mean, let's be honest. Okay, the statistics is that 17%, because I'm a Black woman, I'm going to say from our perspective, 17% of Black women start a business. Infancy is from 0 to 5 years, and only 3% of those 17% actually get outside of infancy. So if the thought process is, and let's add the men on folks on here, 11% of people only make 6 figures. So again, the other thought process is, I want y'all to get out of social media land and stop saying like you want a 6-figure person. The reality situation is that you can do more as a collective. And if you have, again, what's the ultimate goal, right, for your household, for what you guys want to do, right? And that, again, that's going to differ from person to person. I was married before. I'll give you guys a personal story, like close to home. We had decided that we were going to go on vacation, and the way we were going to save our money to go on to Virginia Beach is we were going to, for every time we broke a big bill, we were going to put the small bills in the safe. So we were putting ones, fives. I don't think we put a couple of tens because my ex-husband liked to play the lottery. And then I was just spending cash, buying stuff, whatever. So whenever we broke a big bill, we had to put those little bills in. We were able to save $1,000 in like 6 weeks.
Mm.
So that brought another thought process. And I was like, we got a lot of extra cash. Like all the bills are being paid, but we're like, okay, how much more? So it challenged us to do some other things. I mean, and we always had challenges coming up. So, like when we bought our first home and things of that nature. Again, what's the ultimate goal and figuring out for you? Also, I'd like to say, if we're talking about hanging out with people, knowing your personnel is key. Okay. Again, this is a nuanced conversation. I know we say on social media will have you in a somewhere in the corner. Okay. You'll there's this, it's like, if you're in a group with your friends and you guys all, I done got an appetizer. Okay. I just came back from New Orleans. We ate, listen, I ate good. Okay. There's some people was getting some appetizers. Some people was getting full meals. Some people was getting dessert. I was the people getting all three. Right. I'm not going to split the bill with somebody I see. You know what I'm saying? Again, that's the intention, right? Because if you're my friend, I wouldn't ask you to, because that's the conversation we don't talk about. I, as your friend, would not ask you to split a bill when I saw you just got an appetizer. Matter of fact, I'll probably just pay your bill just because on the strength of we friends, right? But I have some friends who eat like me and we could split the bill, right? So again, the conversation is like hanging out with people who also care enough about their friendship with you in obtaining your goals as well financially, right? I would not hang out with people who would make me feel bad because I don't want to split a bill, and the next thing I know, it's on social media because we done had a fight or something like that. Like, we trying to make it make sense.
Yeah, that's true. Because a lot of people, and I think Flex mentioned that he said holding people accountable. You have to. Most people think that person has to hold you accountable has to be your partner or your husband or your fiance or your wife, but it can be your friend, the people that you always hang out with, the people you always spend money with. I mean, you go out to a bar, you spend money. Hey, maybe we get one beer, or maybe we switch back and forth so that we're kind of just evened out and not just thinking that mindset, but also even like a life lesson, just gathering around the same people,
Yeah.
like-minded people like that. G, did you
Absolutely.
have another question?
Well, I was going to come to the comments and appreciate the comments out there. Keep them coming. We're going to get to them. Sharon said your tribe is important, so she's definitely in agreement with that. But I like
Exactly.
this
Yeah.
one right here. Going back to the budgeting piece of it is necessary,
Yeah.
especially with couples. And that'd be terrible for one person to be trying to save and budget to reach goals, and the other one is like, you know what? I'm not. I'm going to live my life the best way I want to, and especially some people, especially these days, a lot of people have separate accounts, and I'm not saying that's a right or wrong thing, but if you're not on the same page, when it comes to your goals, you're setting yourself up short. So I think that's just as important under the roof, but also outside the roof what Sharon said is your tribe, to make sure
Yeah.
that they're supporting it as well.
I'd also add too, I hate to keep alluding to my ex-husband, but it was a good, I didn't get divorced because it was money wise, but what I would say is something that we used to do is we'd have a meeting once a quarter about our goals and how we were making progress towards the goal. And we'd always have it in a place that was neutral. So we would never have conversations about money in the bedroom. We would never have, what I'm saying? We never have conversations about bills first thing in the morning. Don't ask me about the water bill while I'm trying to drink my coffee. Right, like setting those kind of boundaries too, because the other part is you bring anxiety to people sometimes because we're already talking about money. Most people are like, I don't want to talk about it. I mean, tax time, if anything, especially someone who does people's taxes, people have anxiety around money. They do not like doing their taxes. I have like 10 extensions I have to do even now because people will wait to the last possible minute to do the thing, right? But if you can create an atmosphere, right? You're still one of those people. If you can create an atmosphere of comfort, I think that's probably gonna be our North Star in this conversation. Then you can talk about anything, right? So having the space of comfort and trust, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
that was very important. I wanted to ask that. Um, a lot of times, especially in our culture, it's very like taboo to talk about money, talk about your finances, talk about what's going on, and that's why a lot of anxiety, I believe, in the, at least in the black family comes because there's everybody's it's always like this, you know what I mean?
And it's your business.
But yeah, why is talking about money so taboo in our cultures? Like, is there something that you've seen on your side, Sharice, as far as that, or just experienced in your life? Like, why? I don't understand. To me, that's just all I've heard.
I think it's
Everybody's
because,
always mad.
yeah, well, if you watch Iyanla Van Zant, right? She like, what you only know is what you've taught, what you were taught, right? So my lesson in money was my mom always carried a little coin purse, and she'd have money in the front, money in the back. And when she used to go to 7-Eleven or Circle K or whatever, she'd pull money from the front. And I was like, why you separate your money? She was like, this is play money, this is bill money. And it was then I knew you don't spend the bill money. You got to make sure that
Yeah,
roof's over your head, right? She didn't say it to me. I was only
yeah.
9, right? But I collected like, okay, that's how money works. And I've had a job since I was 14. So I think the conversation is it also, I guess because I am doing very well in my life. I ain't gonna hold you. I am doing well in my life. And also, I understand how sometimes people can um feel bad. It's again not having that confidence in themselves. Like if I said, I make XY money and then someone's just making 50,000, then they're like, oh my gosh, I'm not on the level of Sharice. The truth of the matter is you got to run your own race. And I support, and again, if we're going to be loud, I want to support you in that. So that's it. That's all. But Colin had a good piece right here. He said the goal for many people, including entrepreneurs and business leaders, is to make 6-figure income. And then once you make at least 6 figures a year, you might think you've made it to the top of the mountain, and that's wrong. And I agree with him, right? And that you achieve success. However, the major problem is that you begin thinking less about your money because you feel you've made it. The truth is that once you've made 6 figures a year, that's when you need to think even more about your money. And I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's wild because if you really think about it, as soon as you make 6 figures, you're at the lowest of that bracket now. So
Exactly.
like you either want to go, okay, I think you either should want to be somewhere striving to be in the middle for another 100, or you gonna end up going backwards and back
Right.
into the other bracket again. So
I think that comes into
that's a
what we
stressful
said
spot.
earlier. It's the management of it. So no matter what
Yeah.
you get, whether it's 60, 70, 100, if you don't manage it right, I remember when I first started, when I left the Army years ago, and my first civilian job, I was making like 27,000 a year. And I remember when my salary tripled, and I still wasn't living better because I wasn't managing it any
Yeah,
better.
I
So it's
understand.
crazy to go to making 60,000 a year, 70,000 a year, and still check to check because I didn't have good and smart money management habits.
Yeah. I mean, since we're bearing our soul, let me go and say it. So I moved to Richmond 2 years ago from Lynchburg. So Lynchburg, the median income there is about 42,000. Richmond's really not much better, but it is a little bit more richer. So I started making 6 figures when I moved to Richmond. But so everything I did doubled. And at first I was like, oh, I should get one of those like lofts, high rise, like the girlies do on the TikTok. And then I got to think to myself, again, what's the intention? Like I always, even though I think the things on social media, I do have a North Star that compasses and anchors me in the day-to-day decisions, right? I got me now nothing out here, Lisa, not anything that I want to live into. Everything's gonna have a comma in Richmond, okay? My rent is $1,000. Now I could have moved downtown for 1,700 and got one of them loft look the aesthetics. I don't want to look like I'm rich. I want to be rich. I want to create legacy. And I think we throw around also these words like creating generational wealth and legacy. And then when I get to asking you questions about how you want to do it, it's like crickets. So are
Work
we
80
trying to
hours a week.
do the work, or are we just trying to talk about the work? So for me, it's like I really want to do the work. I don't want to just be talking about the work. I really want to leave my nieces and nephews with something tangible, right? And I grew up from a lineage of people who actually make money. My great great grandfather bought an acre of land in Louisiana for each one of his children. My grandfather has now passed away, and now that plot of land is in my dad's. And I hate to say, even in the midst of my grandfather passing, even before the month was over, me and my sisters collectively had a conversation about who it would go to next. We don't wait, right? That's the other thing. Like, we're talking about generational wealth, but we don't even create so even beyond the money, you still got to create the systems and the structures for the money to pass hands into the next generation. But you're not even doing that, because you're talking about, Margie, you're talking about earlier, buying things. Don't nobody want your Louis Vuitton bag. I don't want them clothes and shoes you got. Like, if we trying to talk about holding on to money and keeping money and being in a budget, then we need to get serious about those conversations and having them more frequently amongst each other. It's hard, but it's got to be had.
Yeah, and it's, I think, like the example you gave with your grandfather, like someone's gonna have to make sacrifice, and when you're making sacrifice, that doesn't mean that you're living, in poverty and not enjoying life. I think there's a good balance, and again, it's just a whole mindset, which is what Sharon said earlier. I like this comment right here from Nikki. Appreciate the comment. Said, agreed. Sit with those who will fight you over paying the bill when it comes to your friends, and that's true accountability, right? Some people say it and they'll tell you that you're an accountability partner, but don't tell them something that they don't want to hear, and that agreement is over with. Sharon also said being very intentional about your finances is necessary. That's a word that we use a lot here on the show, is intentional. If you're not intentional about what you're doing, you're wasting your time. I was talking to my nephew on Facebook on one of his posts the other day, and I was telling him about the importance of writing stuff down. There's the saying that if an idea that's not on paper is nothing but a dream. Write it down and then figure out the resources that you need to get there, the steps you need to get there, and then start working on it. But more important than that, putting yourself around the right people, because there's what's the old saying, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's processes out there, and get with the experts that know how to do it. Get rid of the pride, take away that whole taboo idea of money, and try to learn and build from each other. So one more, then we'll go to another topic here. This is from Ivory, one of the podcast members. Appreciate your comment. She says they are afraid you're going to ask for money.
And they are.
Yeah.
And they are. You know what? The other part of that, though, even if they ask, for me, I already have a limit, right? So once my bank account gets to this amount, so when I say I have nothing to give, I apologize, I can't contribute to your emergency, but ultimately, too, your emergency is not my emergency. But I'm also very resourceful, so it depends on what the emergency is, right? Yeah. But the other part is, typically when people are asking us for money, they're asking us. We all got that family member who asks us for $2 so they can get a Lucy. Someone who asked for, can I get $5 so I can get me a 12? Well, they probably cost more than my uncle. Listen,
they didn't ask enough people.
Like, can I get a 5? He can get a pack of cigarettes and a 12-pack, right?
Yep.
And the other part is, for me, I guess my family knows, because I'm a little older in age. If they come to me for some money, I'm the last resort, because, baby, even though I'm gonna give it to you, I'm gonna ask all the questions. What you need it for? When I'm gonna get it back? All the, did you do all the things?
You know what though, Sharice? Some people have mastered the art of asking for money. They'll tell
you. Oh, for sure.
All day. They're gonna tell you. And they're gonna tell you thank you a million times.
They be good at it.
Really
my sister, so I told you I have 6 sisters. I have a sister who, when she was in college, she would ask everybody for $20. She only needed $20. But everybody, $20 ain't a lot of money, or it might even be something smaller than that. You're like, oh, can I get $5? Can I get $5? Because you times it by how many people know. I can make $100 right now if I ask everybody on Cash App, like, hey, can you give me $5? And the thing is, it's so low, you're not even gonna ask for it back, probably.
Yeah, I will. I'm tired. Never mind.
Hey, give my $5 back.
Appreciate your classmate Shay Cooper. She said 6 figures is a baseline for the next level, and I like that, having an understanding of where you are and where you're trying to go. You have to have that baseline understanding. You're right. 6 figures is again. I'm not thumb on my nose at it. But it depends on where you stay, man. You get
Right.
$110,000 a year, and I mean, you're a disaster away from being broke or homeless. So
Right.
That is actually extremely true.
yeah.
Yeah.
So keep the comments coming. We're gonna go
Yes,
to
definitely.
a commercial, and right after the commercial, we'll come back and get back in some of these comments in the next topic.
Your success ain't gonna happen overnight. It may take a year, it may take 2 years, it may even take 10 years. For some people, it might take even longer than that. But one thing I do know, as long as you keep fighting and staying consistent, you will make it. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you gonna make it?
Creed. Step in that water, step in that water, step in that water. Yeah. You gotta be willing to go out and get it. You gotta dive in it, go and get it. Step in that water, step in that water, step in that water. Yeah. You got
All right, welcome back.
Yeah. So that is our boy Miracle Hendricks. He is the official barber for the Floor is Yours podcast. If you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area or you want to pay us a visit, go by and see Miracle. He got you from clothing to fades and haircuts to beard maintenance, and we got a little bit of everything. And he's an author. And you talking about we're talking about financial literacy and budgeting. Man, this guy has an amazing story. We've had him on this podcast before, and you're talking about someone who worked his butt off to be able to support and manage his life in a way where he's good right now. Miracle's the man right there. So appreciate everybody.
Yeah, and they got that dope commercial too.
Oh yeah, hot step in the water. So
yeah, that's the beat.
yeah, let's get a couple more of these. I just want to hit this one again. They're just funny to me. I already said they're afraid you're going to ask for money. So
Yeah.
you're right. Some people, it's not just the taboo of it. You tell too many people what you got, and it's gonna entice people to come to you and ask. So yeah. Here's another from Crystal, Army buddy of mine. Appreciate the comment, Crystal. Mars, can you see this or you can't? Can you?
Yeah, I can see that one.
Okay, can you see the whole one where you can read it? Okay.
Yeah. They was talking about I think money is taboo in our community because we already feel so judged and don't want to be judged any extra. I hate when people ask what I do because I feel like they are trying to figure out why I have what I have, or that they're trying to put me, and I can't see the rest. But
In a class, as Black people, we are more sensitive to that.
yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, and I can that happens all the time in our culture. It's super. It's not even just in our culture. People in general like to know who they think you are, right? And so knowing somebody's or um assuming somebody's financial class tells a lot about a person, and so that's usually the top three things. You want to know if somebody looks good, you're going to judge them off that. Then when by their looks and their clothing, you're going to judge them basically, in their car or their house, whatever you get a glimpse to look at. Even people watch how much you spend, right? They'll see like, oh, he got a sandwich, oh, he's either not financial strong or he has money to spend. You know what I mean? You remember that meme, or when the girl that does elementary, she's like, he got money. You remember that back
Yeah.
just because he asked for a large, right? So people are actually watching these kind of things to put you in a category automatically. I mean, that just happens with people in general. So it really does suck.
Yeah. Cody said most people don't have a plan past Labor Day, let alone a plan for generational wealth. You're right.
I don't. I mean, I'm gonna have to call Sharice. I need some fancy financial motivation, man.
There's so many. It's so easy, right? The first thought process again is, what's your North Star? What are you trying to leave, right? And it just starts as simple as like covering. You are an asset, right? You're someone who generates money. So having a life insurance policy so that your family doesn't have to do a GoFundMe, right? That's the simplest of making sure that you can be reconciled when it comes to your time to lay it down solid. You know what I'm saying? But for me, I really want people to create the systems that kind of help with the things, right? So I use it listen, I'm a geriatric millennial. There used to be a time when banks used to offer Christmas clubs, right? My mom used to participate in them, and I got a chance to participate in one for 1 year, and then my bank stopped doing it. But basically, what happens is you tell them how much money you want to put aside, and they start at January 1, and they'll put that money aside until October, and then they give you the money in November. And then my mom basically used the money to buy all of our Christmas gifts. Because you imagine what happens is a lot of people will take that last check in November to buy their kids stuff, but didn't get paid. Let's be honest, right?
Yeah.
So the thought process is, Christmas is December 25th every year. It ain't changing. Your birthday's coming up. Your kids, what your anniversary. I mean, of the simplest of things, right? So creating the system. So I use an app that basically puts money aside every month. And then also I can put a threshold on it. So basically where, I don't know if banks still offer this, but like when your bank account got down to a certain level, it would transfer money over to make sure you didn't get any overdraft fees. So it's almost as if we have been labored with the responsibility to also create infrastructure within our spending habits to be able to cover the things.
Yeah.
So find different apps or different things that can help you with it. And the other thing too is I'm a couponer. Okay. I make six figures and I still use coupons. Okay. I keep my money.
For sure.
Okay? So using just the simplest of the things, right? And I think the mindset, I guess we'll keep bringing it up too. Stop being so negative about the things. I just came from New Orleans. Listen, y'all say in the comments, when there is a right answer. When the airline calls when they say they're about to board, do you immediately stand up or do you wait for them to call your section? Those are the kind that I observe people, right? You already have an assigned seat, right? You already have an assignment in life, right? With your money, with the things that you do. Why are you trying to get ahead or go down someone else's path when you have a path of your own? The people who get up early, those are the people I feel like are scrambling. And I'm like, you already know what the end goal is. Why are we?
They're standing up for nothing.
You go wait,
so ready.
Right? So the other part
so
is,
ready.
You can't advance either until you're ready. My best friend always tells me no time wasted. The reason why I'm not where I think that I should be, or I've made up in my mind, is because I either haven't learned the lesson or I haven't mastered the thing that I need to get done.
Yeah.
I have to learn that to move forward to the next piece. I mean, we've been all fully transparent. I filed bankruptcy. And it wasn't because I was bad with my money. I had cash flow issues on my business side. And that's something I had to figure out. Right. Yeah. So again, the thought process is, and let's also be clear, bankruptcy is not a bad word. I know more people that have filed bankruptcy to restructure their lives, right? I now have a 700 credit score, okay? Making six figures. Again, what is the intentions? What's the impact? What are you trying to do? Where are you trying to go, right?
And then how? I'm creating a plan on how to do it. I like this right here when you're talking about things being left. Sharon says she prefers land, property, silver, gold, money, and art. So she don't want
that silver and gold. She got some pirates in her.
Louis, in right? Her family. One more from Coley. She says frugal people prioritize spending money on things that add value to their lives, and they avoid using money for what they don't consider important. They also recognize the value of their time, health, happiness over material possessions. And I think that last part of that comment right there just speaks volumes. We so focus on the green and that we forget these other non-tangible aspects of.
I love the word value. I keep telling people to quantify things in their business. So when tax time comes, I actually get food delivered because it actually is cheaper. And if you quantify your time, I'm spending $75 a month for someone to give me a meal that lasts me all week long. Now let's quantify my time. My time is I charge $165 an hour. If I take how long it takes me to make a grocery list, go get said groceries, put the groceries in the house, then prep the meal and cook the groceries, and then I gotta wash the dishes afterwards. I could make more money doing someone's taxes and just get some food. That's the other part too. When someone else had mentioned about people counting your pockets. At some point, especially once you get older, I understand now that I'm on the other side of, into my 40s, where you just don't care, right? I don't care if you can think whatever you want to assume about what I'm doing or how I'm moving or how I do with my money. The reality situation is that I'm getting to my goals regardless. I went to Invest Fest in Atlanta last year, and
Investors.
the man who will remain nameless because he's in court and all the things, but he was there. And he said that making money, the problems don't change, they just get bigger.
Yeah.
So if you can't take care of problems at 60,000, you don't for sure don't want no problems making six figures or beyond.
More problems, more money, more problems. That's a little biggie.
Yeah.
Little biggie.
I think
So
that's what the man said.
that is the man shall remain nameless.
Yes.
But it's what so we already know that the big I'll tell mine, but what are some of the challenges we think culturally that we face? When not necessarily when it comes to budgeting, but just money in general. I'll say what I think. I think a lot of it came from not being taught, right? We're now in the financial literacy time for Black people, right? Shall I say? Now we're getting hip to that. That's something that we're just now. Legacy. You've talked a little bit about legacy, Sharice, which is very important. However, I don't think anybody much. Maybe my parents' generation started thinking about legacy, but that's still not far enough, right? And we didn't get our 40 acres and a mule. And even if we did, let's say we did, right? I don't think Black folks were in the correct mindset to manage those things and then pass it down, right? And I know some of them did, but then even still, I've heard a lot of stories that around this time frame that of our generation getting these things passed down, our land, our silver and gold, and guess what? The first thing we do is we sell it back to, you know, the government or whoever else is ready to build different things there that doesn't give back to our culture. So I'll say that's one of the ones that I've seen is our biggest challenge is that we're right now in the age of giving back and wanting to pass down and then educating about it, and keeping it. So that's the biggest one. But G, I would like, or Flex, I would like to get your opinion on that. What do you think some of our challenges and barriers are with money? And then
Yeah.
Sharice.
Yeah, I was thinking about what you said that we're wasn't being taught. I'll say we're being taught, but we're being taught the wrong thing. We're the way information flows. We're being taught something. Whether
Yeah,
it's the
I
music,
agree.
the movies, or just bad ways of managing it. And this
For
is
sure.
not a blame game initially, but at some point, when do we become responsible for our own behavior? And even that's a challenge because we only can do based off of what we're aware of or what we're capable of. But the other thing is, I think if we don't get complacent and always seek to learn and always seek to grow, that we can overcome some of those challenges. And I think the biggest one in my eyes is just the desire to impress. And a lot of times what we impress, I had a post, I took it down. I'm gonna make it probably later on next week, but it says that validation is a hell of a drug. And a lot of times, man, if we that's a play on old Rick James, right? But if we're seeking to be validated, by people who got the same challenges, the same issue, that whole thing about birds of a feather, we're down there trying to impress each other and acting impressed by people who have nothing or the bare minimum. And it's like, man, that means nothing. Money here today, gone tomorrow. It's a heart issue. It's a confidence issue. It's a competence issue. And I just encourage people to go and don't stop learning and always keep trying to grow and surround yourself with the right people because your environment will tank you just as fast as anything else. So that's what I think.
I live by this saying, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So it's important to have a solid foundation for all the things. I think that I would say the same thing as Flex, like being accountable. Once we get to a good old age where we have to understand, I think once we know better, we do better. I do think that a lot of people my age, though, are now taking the reins, where they're making money in non-traditional, I would say non-traditional ways, like content creators and things of that nature. It almost seems as though the sky's the limit. And if that's the case, then being smart and putting money aside so that you can, leave stuff for your kids and your family, and then having comprehensive conversations with each other, expectations, and then knowing too, like I read this book called Chop Wood, Carry Water. It's very simple. You got to chop your wood and you got to carry your water. And that's basically doing the same things day in and day out. I mean, one thing with money, it takes time to build. It takes time to grow, even in a high yield savings account. I mean, you still have to not touch it, not do anything with it, right? And I think that we could still live nice. I don't think people could, if we stop a social, I've been in therapy for a while, and I disassociated words, whether they were good or bad, right? The words are actually invoking an action, right? So something that someone would say is bad, it's telling me to do something, right? And then things that are good, it's something that we're celebrating. So you think like, okay, if you see somebody and you find yourself judging them like, oh, they don't they're not dressed nice. Now they got the little video where it's a dating show and the girl or the guy comes up and they have a balloon and they pop it, right? It's straight off looks, right? And we need to get out of that. We have to have a more solidified mindset around people. Now, granted, listen, whoever I'm with, they need to be chef's kiss, okay? But they gotta be cute to me, okay? But at the same time, he gotta have some depth about himself. And I think a lot of times we start asking questions amongst people and we're qualifying them with things that don't even matter, right? So so starting there, the values, are you guys connected on a spiritual level, all these other things, because all the other things, the money actually starts chasing after you. I promise you, the moment I stop making money the focus, it downright be throwing itself at me, okay? All the money I made in New Orleans, I made it back because I've created those systems and structures where money makes money for me. And I think if thought outside of those things, right? I promise you, and it's beyond saying money seeks me and all these other manifestations are great, right? You still got to do the work. I've been doing the work the last 18 years, but I promise you, when you start aligning your North Star with more big pictures, right? And I think also if you're in the midst of, okay, I don't care what people say, or I'm getting there, find comfort in isolation. There's a lot of people who actually don't think the same way. They regurgitate what they hear, but it is very isolating when you have a North Star that is, guiding you towards the decisions that you make day in and day out around your money and what kind of legacy you want to build. And legacy doesn't always mean leaving a hunk of money. Legacy means that you're leaving something that is tangible and an asset that builds
it could
community.
literally just be something you taught.
Right. So even if I left no money to my family, but I left instructions on how to do my business or something like that, that's an asset unto them, right? So don't think that legacy always has to be a monetary situation either. It's an asset. It's whatever you're leaving that is an asset. And a lot of us leave people with liabilities. That's why people are opening up GoFundMe's to bury their family. Don't be that person.
Yeah. So we got a couple of questions to get to. Ivory said not being taught to have
And Sharice kind of mentioned that too. She was saying the people that are making the $1 million, they have, she said 3 to 8 businesses, and that's the only way for, the way the systems work.
Realistically,
to actually, be able to maintain.
And it's not hard to do. That's the thing about it.
It's not. It's not. We just gotta want to, like she said, beyond the manifestations. We have to put our feet on the ground.
That. Beyond the manifestations, sir. And Coley said, abstaining from using money or goods at our disposal in ways that merely gratify our desires or our hunger for status, glamour, and luxury. Right. That that's the one thing that Will Smith was talking about in that video. Is that he learned that at the end of the day, he had bought everything that he could ever want, but it wasn't satisfying. It didn't bring him happiness. And he learned that happiness is from the inside. And he learned that he had to try to take happiness to the situation, to the people, to the relationship, to the work. So it's just something to think about that. Yeah, but money ain't everything, but it ain't sure pay the rent. So learn how to manage it right so that it's there at your disposal for the right things. Yeah. So I got one more video for us to show. It's some practical steps, and then after that, we're gonna come back and close the show out. So this is real short. Here we go.
This loud budgeting thing, here's some habits to help you get started. 1, start talking about your spending limits openly with the people in your life. Number 2, pack a lunch and start meal prepping instead of eating out so much. Number 3, automate your savings so that you're not tempted to spend more. Number 4, refuse to impulse shop. Number 5, host people at your house and embrace free activities. And last but not least, if we're talking about loud budgeting, how about actually, budgeting?
I like that last one. How about you actually budget? Don't just talk about it, actually implement it. So some good practical steps. Number 4 for me, that's shopping. Bless my heart. I'm working. I'm working.
Quantify it though. Sometimes you find out that, especially if you're someone who does someone who can make revenue, you do income producing activities. Listen, do I want to fold clothes or do I want to hire somebody to clean the house? Right? Again, quantifying those things. Sometimes people think that, or when I go to Target, I usually do one of those Target pickups because I know that I'm going to spend at least minimum $100. But if I do the Target pickup, I can get what I need to get. And typically I come across some more coupons on the app, right? So again, creating the environment for success.
I like the whole idea of couponing. You said this earlier about keeping your money. One of the my mentors in the financial space, that's what he said. He don't teach people how to make money. He teaches you how to keep it. And that's the whole thing. Is we get it. And if we're not, what's the word I'm looking for, responsible with it, and we careless instead, it's going to fall through like water through a wet paper bag. So
I say for my bookkeeping clients, I say there's 2 ways to make more money. Either you lower your expenses or you make more money, right? And a lot of people, it's easier actually to lower your expenses. Yeah. I remember when I was in college, when I did my first budget, I was spending $300-$400 on a good month, depending on how often I got with my girlfriends eating out. But I also am from Jackson, Mississippi. I'm a good Southern belle. I also cook. So I was also spending collectively $250 on groceries. I was like, sure, you got to pick a struggle. Which one we doing? I didn't say, and I'm of the thought process. I'm not saying like you can't do the things, but like pick one. Like you can't cook and eat out because I was throwing away that head of lettuce every month, right? Like what we doing? Like you got to either cook the food or, so I was like, all right, I can eat out 2 times a week on one weekend, and we narrowed it down to about $350-$400.
I run into that problem often too. I do.
Yeah.
I do. So how about this? Flex, did you have anything to give? Were you giving something away today?
I was, but we'll have to do this next week just because.
Okay, that's fine.
We got an announcement.
So make sure y'all definitely come back next week. So we got some giveaways to give away. All right, so y'all gotta come back.
Cash money. We're gonna help y'all with this loud budgeting next time on the next show. Hey. So we used to give it away all the time. The Floor is Yours podcast stimulus check. That was a play on the COVID period.
Yeah.
We're gonna go back to giving out some money because we want you to be here and be a part of something. And we're not here just to talk.
Right.
We got some great things in the near future that I want to talk about right now. If Mars will let me.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Flex. The floor is yours.
The floor is mine. Good deal. So July the 12th and 13th, we got something special coming here to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So I want people to go ahead and block the calendars off. The location and all that is to be announced here in the near future. But this show is a part of what we got going on. And we're going to be having a conference called Level Up Leaders Conference. And part of it, the focus is to grow the person. We can have all this, everybody can be a leader, but if you're not leveling up, changing your mindset, changing your habits, getting purpose in your life and figuring out how to obtain it and surround yourself with the right people, it's all going to be for naught. So this Level Up Leaders is all about developing self. Knowing self. And some of the topics that we're going to be talking about is one of my personal favorites is because I have a lot of female family members, a lot. My family is heavy female. but it's called I'm Not Angry. And it's a real work on the whole mindset of the angry Black woman. But it's going to talk about it in a two-part way, or it may develop into something different. But one is that personal responsibility to make sure that you are exuding that pleasant behavior, kind behavior, but also is dealing with the male counterparts or whoever else is weaponizing that whole angry Black woman thing as a way to keep people down. So we're going to have a panel of women that are ready to share their experiences in that arena. It's going to be a great discussion. We got the power of real estate. You know, you can do a lot with real estate, not just for your own personal home ownership, but investment as well. So we got some real major players that's going to talk about the power of real estate. Appraise yourself. We got an HR professional. She's going to have this nice little tool where you can plug in some characteristics and attributes of self that lets you know your value in certain markets. And just to give you an example, just say if you're an IT major, you went to school and learned all these skills and crafts around computer science and IT, but you're in an area where there's no computer jobs. Your value is little to nothing there. So it's understanding like what are my value? Where is my value valuable? Where's my assets valuable or my attributes valuable? So, we're one of the most mobile societies on this planet, but sometimes we're stuck to a zip code or area code when our blessing might be somewhere else. So we're going to talk about how to appraise yourself, government contracts, government grants for those who have your own businesses, and much more. And of course, Sharice is going to be going more in depth about what is this we just called loud budgeting.
Loud budgeting.
Yeah, loud budgeting. So it's a lot coming. July the 12th and the 13th. Go ahead and mark your calendar. There's a lot of information coming out here in the near future about that event, and I hope that everybody can be a part of it.
Yeah, that's all. A lot of information, a lot of resources, a lot of time and love, probably some sweat and tears put into that.
Can you believe it?
And who's going to be brought to you by?
Oh yeah, so it's a partnership with if you followed the show, Tamika, one of the organizations that I'm a partner with her in is TLE, the leading executive, and so I'm glad you asked that. So one part of leveling up leaders is having the resources available at your fingertips. So we have this learning management system that teaches us what we used to call the soft skills. We call them the power skills. Communication. Just a number of skills though, but we're gonna that's brought to you by the leading executive, Mogul Media, and Moshe, and of course the Floor is Yours podcast will be in the house too. So yeah,
Nice. Yes, of course. Mogul TV Global is definitely one of the best streaming platforms you can get some cultural knowledge on. And Mosaic, how you say it? I just want to make sure I'm saying it correct.
Moshe
is this man Flex created this about 2 years ago. He said he's been thinking about it all his life, but the amount of impact and the amount of like hands-on stuff that Moshe has gotten into in the past 2 years has been incredible. So it's a pretty dope nonprofit that you guys should definitely be going to the events for and paying attention to. All right.
Yeah, and Neurospace. Tell them about Neurospace.
Oh yeah, of course. I got Neurospace. That's mental health advocacy that my business where I just really care about unique spaces for wellness. So if you guys enjoy that, Neurospace.llc. That's me on all platforms, and check that out, of course. And then Miss Sharice, I would love for you to say some parting thoughts on what you think best would benefit and improve our life from loud budgeting, and then tell the people where to follow you and get in contact with yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I think Jackie Hill Perry said it best. I think a lot of us think when we have peace about things that it has been settled. You can have peace and have a hard time going through the things, right? So I want you guys to quantify your friend circle, right? And really assess like who in your circle could you share that you want to buy a house with, that you split the bills 50-50 with your husband or your boyfriend, right? Like who could you really have those conversations with, who can give you, one is, being around wise counsel, people who
Mhm.
seek to advise you in a way that aligns with what you're doing and being intentional in how they show up in your life, right? The other piece is to being clear about what you want. Again, I think if you've ever had a conversation with someone who listens to social media just a tad bit too much, right? You hear when they talk, it sounds like they're regurgitating what they've heard, but it doesn't sound like a sound thought process of their own, right? Figure out what your North Star is, right? I don't have any kids. My legacy is not to leave a house or a home to a child or things of that nature, right? So again, you need to figure out what your North Star is and figure out those things, right? So those two things, quantify your friendships, who you can really lean into, right? And decide this week that you're going to share something vulnerable with them about your money situation, right? And maybe they can help you out. The way that you can stay connected with me is I am Financial Fancy CFO on all channels. Obviously, Sharice Chambers on LinkedIn. And then I have a podcast called Business After Dark, where I talk more about the behind the scenes of being an entrepreneur. We're going into our 5th season. And it's just great. And we're releasing a book at the end of the year. Play on, same thing, Business After Dark. So just stay connected with me. And then if you are a business owner and you are looking for funding, since we are talking about money, right? Get on my email list. I sent out a list of over 100 grants free 99. I ain't gonna charge you for it. Get on my email list, and I send it out at the beginning of the month if you're looking for funding for your business. And it's from startups to beyond, and it's not site specific, right? It's everywhere. So I have a list for even people who are, if you happen to watching and you live in Africa or overseas, I have a list for you as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, she said that secret weapon. Sharice is
I
that
told you I'm a
secret
secret weapon. I kept it to the end. I kept it to the end.
Even for the Africans.
Hey, I like this comment right here. She said, manage your money or your money will manage you.
Facts.
Ooh,
Facts.
I like that. I like that. All right, Sharice, thank you again for coming and joining us and enlightening us on financial literacy and loud budgeting and how that looks and should look for us. And I think I've learned a lot. I hope other people did. And we had a lot of comments because this is one of those things that is taboo and not many people talk about. So once you start creating, like you said, a safe space for people to talk about it, people start opening up a lot more. And that's awesome. So Flex, did you have any parting thoughts about loud budgeting?
That's it. What I said earlier, just to reiterate, you can do a lot with $50,000-$60,000 in a plan and proper management. So I'm not saying don't go for more, but my point is if you appreciate, meaning you nurture where you are, do right where you are. And the Bible says, it's for me to get a little scriptural. The Bible says those who are faithful in least will be faithful in much. And I think that's the principle that God created in this world that we can go with, because he is faithful. And if he said it, it's the truth. And that's my experience. I gave you a story earlier about me living just as poor when I was making $60,000 as I was when I was making $20,000. And it's because my mind wasn't right, my management wasn't right, and I wasn't faithful where I am. So I think everybody can understand that. Be faithful where you are. And one more. A lot of people think or expect to reap more than what they've sown. And it's it's a foolish thought. But some people really, really feel that way. So if you want it, build it, grow it.
A lot of people feel that way. Oh my goodness, majority.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Thanks for that one. That was definitely a deep one. And make sure you guys are following, liking, sharing, and subscribing. You want to be here next week, you might get some bread from Moshe. Also, don't be afraid to pay attention so that you can look out for that July event, July 12th, July 13th, from Moshe and the Mogul Global. So we'll see you guys again pretty soon. Once again, it's Mars, and we'll be out. The floor is yours.
Now it's my turn to tell y'all about my big bro Gerard and the podcast crew. From DJ the realist, Miss Cookie the professor, and you can't forget about the inspiration shit. They talk about it all, got advice for us all. You'll never know how deep the talks will go. On the weekdays, the weekends, they be going live with the topics. Then they do the segment where the floor is yours. You can post your comments, you can post your statements, yeah. You can ask your questions, They can help you get your life moving in the right direction. If you need advice on marriage, advice on finance, advice on healing, advice on credit, this the podcast that you need to check out. Go ahead and tune in, you'll feel what I'm talking about.
baby, I'ma get it. The floor is yours.